Okay, now that the coil is back in there and I fixed the concern, we verified it, and everything's back together with that, we want to concentrate on sealing the wiper cowl area here on the glass to prevent any kind of water leakage into the PCM over here. So we're gonna go through the steps on here. It's kind of boring stuff, but I do it my own certain way. And the first thing you got to do is clean this whole area right here where all these welds are at right here. And we're going to put foam all the way across there to seal it. Whereas Ford only has you doing it in certain areas, like right here and above the transaxle connector right here, the bulkhead. I do it all the way across. And we seal it up on there. And there's a few other steps with body plugs and Scrivets that get glued in, stuff like that, to really seal it up on there. So the first thing you have us doing is sealing these rubber plugs. There's 3 of them all the way across, and then there's these gray clips right here that hold the wiper cowl on. I want to clean that area and seal them with silicone sealant. And we can go on to a couple more steps here, a few different sealing areas. And this is all to prevent any kind of water getting into sheet metal here and pooling up and collecting by the PCM. Now this is probably the most complicated part of it, and it's finding the rubber plugs that are underneath the cowl here. Like I said, we're trying to keep water from going through here, so that's loose, coming down, going in there, and then it fills up in here, okay, and then it goes over to here and just floods the PCM. So what you need to do on this side is there's the insulator for the firewall here. There's a little plastic retainer. Take that out of there. You'll see it on this side. And you pull it down just a bit, and right here there's a body plug. I want you to pull that so it can drain out of there instead of filling the whole channel in here with water. So we're going to do that, one on each side. Simply take it down, cat claw, whatever. We're gonna get that plug out of there. Looks something like that. And you just leave it out of there so it can drain out, and they seal out. It's all rusted in there. That already tells you how much water's been trapped in there over the years. So once you have it out of there, good to go. Toss it. And then you can put your retainer back up in here, like so. And then of course the same thing on this side. Once you pull the retainer off for the firewall insulation, you'll see it in here. It's right here, right next to it. Kind of feel it with your hand and guide your tool in here. Yeah, this one's pretty bad too. And there's the other one. Put your insulation back up in your retainer. Now the one other step I do is I pull the connector off for the PCM here, get it out of the way, and I seal around the outside of it here. It looks like someone was trying to do the same thing with the electrical tape. It has a seal around it from the factory, but just to keep anything out of there, anything extra from getting in there, this whole top part here, I put the same thing on there, the silicone sealant. So again, clean your area you're working on. Some brake clean, Get all the dust, grease, anything off of there, and we'll seal everything all at once. Seal it all the way around. The biggest thing is sealing the plugs up top with the silicone sealant, and then getting those drain plugs out of there, of the channel here, so that can actually drain before it ever gets over to here. And the sealant they recommend is TA32. It's their clear rubber silicone sealant. Automotive grade, I guess. Made for the extremes in temperature. So you just put a bead across it. This stuff's ultra gooey because it's nice and warm out here. But once you get it across it, like so, you want to make sure you smear it into there also. So that bridges the gap between the seal and the connector here for the PCM. That'll seal it the rest of the way, something like that. You don't want to get any on the inside here. And then make sure you do it on the side here also, and on the underside. Something like that. And then we'll start doing all these across also. These ones I just smeared around there. They're already plugging it and sealing it off, but you just want to add a little extra over what the plug's doing by itself. And then these ones require a little bit more because they're going to move and stuff like that. Now, I don't recommend taking these out, spooging it in there, and then putting it back down because they're so hard of a plastic, they'll likely crack on you. So doing something like this is just fine. And once all that's sealed, what I do is I put the camper foam they want you to use all the way across in one continuous piece on here. Help seal it out. Don't forget your PCM connector, put that back on. And then I can start putting on the lower wiper cowl housing. Just make sure you get your connector in here for the wiper motor fully seated. Find it first until it clicks, and then you can start laying it into here and put it straight down as possible. The one thing to remember on these, make sure you get fully seated obviously, is the short ones go on the ends. The rest of them are all the same and they're a lot longer. Make sure you follow that, you'll be okay. And then once all the screws are in, all the way across, you can look at it and make sure everything's touching and sealing like so. You can see it's sealing the whole length here across where it contacts, so it keeps as much water out of it as possible. And the same thing with all these that we sealed up on there. Now over here, that's just fine. You want it to be able to go over here and follow the path and drain through. Anything that collects up there, same thing on the other side. So at this point, we're going to put on the upper cowl on there, and they want you to seal that a certain way too. Okay, let's get this upper cowl piece on here. It's best to go through like that, and then come back around like so, and get your washer line back through the hole here first so we don't forget it. Make sure that seals up on there also. Pull it through. Okay. Let's connect it also to the washer bottle. We can start laying down the upper cowl on here. The thing to remember is to make sure it lays flat like that all the way across, okay, before you start pressing down here. And that way it's fully aligned. Go all the way across. Make sure it snaps in like so. And then over here, like I said, those little white nylon pieces, you want to make sure they're fully inserted into here, and that'll keep the weather stripping in place on both sides. Be careful, they can be brittle, but they do serve a purpose on here. There we go. Now one crucial step is obviously pushing this all the way down, all the way across, but also putting new Scrivets in all the way across here and silicone sealing them before they go in. So that's sealed also to not allow water into the channel on here. So I have new ones here that will actually fit tight, and they will also be siliconed in per Ford's instructions. And this is how they look on there. It's basically the same thing. Make sure your area is clean. Okay. All the way across. And we're going to put silicone sealant all around these. Okay. Like so. And then you put your new Scrivet in here, like that, and then you push down, and then you can get the excess after that. And that'll fully seal the wiper cowl here then. And since it's all sealing down below, you can get this excess off of here, it's no big deal. Now the one at last area they want sealant is right here above the trans. Once you put a bead across here so there's no spillage in the bulkhead connector above the trans. All right, we're leaving our South Bend, Indiana stop. All in all, it was a good stop. No problems whatsoever. Just a little bit hot out there in the sun, but it was definitely plenty of light for me and some shade under the hood there. Got that coil pack on and resealed that wiper cowl perfectly all the way across with my preferred method, and hopefully most of it got on camera there for you guys. And this way, you know, all that stuff is sealed up and secure, and he has a new coil pack on there so that the vehicle runs correctly. Someone else already came in there and put new spark plugs and wires on there in the past, probably trying to correct the same concern. So the rest of the secondary ignition on there is new also. So he should be good to go for a good long while. The Freestars in general, they're pretty reliable. They got a few problems here and there, but otherwise they're pretty darn reliable vehicles in the powertrain department. So we're going to head home and start gearing up for the West Coast. I have a lot of contacts I need to get a hold of and get a little bit more information about their vehicles and what the problems they're having, so I can kind of, you know, diagnose it over the internet. From, you know, most of the stuff's common issues on Fords, and I can pre-order parts so I have them on hand, so when we get to the stops we just repair it and we move on instead of waiting a couple days for parts or trying to find them locally. So hopefully everything goes as smooth as the East Coast did. Like I said, we never stopped off at one parts store or dealership or anything the whole time we were on the East Coast tour. We had everything. It was so perfect. So I hope to do the same on the West Coast for sure.